This video is sponsored by NordVPN, and right now they're giving my subscribers 77% off a 3-year plan by using my link down below. If you guys aren't using a VPN by now, then you're putting yourself at risk every time you use the internet. You never know who's watching and keeping track of your data. NordVPN uses military-grade encryption to keep you private while you're online shopping, downloading files, or sending sensitive information to other people. They have over 3,600 servers in 61 countries, and it even works in China and the Middle East. So check them out at nordvpn.com/techsource or by clicking on the link below to get your 77% off a 3-year plan. I like the fact that Ed doesn't know that Splatoon is a video game, not anime. Yeah, I kind of dropped the ball on that one, guys. I've heard of the game Splatoon. I had no idea that wallpaper on the monitor was actually from Splatoon. So yeah, it shows how much I know about Switch games. Then again, it shouldn't be surprising to you guys at this point. If I'm not butchering names, I'm calling something wrong on the show, whether it's the wrong console or I can't even figure out what anime or game character it is. There's always something going on in each show. So yeah, you guys should expect that from me. So starting from now, guys, I'm gonna be reading the top comment of my previous episode. I'm gonna respond to it in the next episode, if that makes any sense. But anyways, with that said, welcome to Setup Wars episode 145 budget edition. I do have to remind you guys, budget doesn't mean cheap. It means that they have a specific budget that they are working with. It could be a high budget, it could be a low budget, but that is the theme of today's episode. So yeah, with that said, let the Setup Wars begin. So starting up the show, we have Jamie from Ireland and his cozy setup that he uses for gaming and the occasional streaming. He's using a 24-inch AOC monitor that's resting on the Redstone computer desk that he picked up from Amazon, and he managed to fit everything on it. The Corsair K55 Keyboard, the SteelSeries Rival 110 mouse, and his PC, which was mostly built around a budget, except the RAM sticks. It's obviously picked those up because of its RGB feature, and it blends in with the Aigo RGB Fans, but 16 gigs is overkill for this build. You could have saved $100 by going with only 8 gigs and use that extra money on other parts. Or you could have bought a nice headset for yourself. I don't know if using a Bluetooth speaker as your main audio source is a good thing. As I mentioned before, he does stream occasionally, which is why he has a blue Snowball microphone attached to a boom arm. One thing I did notice is the cable management. He went with the let it hang method, if you guys have seen my how-to video on the cable management. Basically, you wrap most of the cables together using a cable sleeve and use a cable box to hide the power strip and the rest of the cables being plugged into it. Other than the usual recommendation for the keyboard and mouse wire, I think you have yourself a nice and cozy setup. Thank you, Jamie, for starting up the show. Bryce is up next from Iowa, and I know what you guys are thinking. Ed, this guy has 2 monitors. Why the hell is he on the budget edition? Well, it's because he built his setup with a budget of $1,500 and he spent only $1,487. And also he has a broken phone. So he's using 2 Acer monitors that are hooked up to a mount, and underneath that we got the Corsair K55 Keyboard and the Logitech M310 mouse. Oh, and by the way, the K55 Keyboard is Corsair's budget keyboard. I like what he did with his setup. He personalized it. It's not just another setup out there. The pictures on the wall and the stuff on the shelves all contribute to the setup and his personality. And speaking of the drawings, he actually drew all of that himself. Very talented. A few things on the setup that got Bryce into the budget edition in the first place are the self-made low-budget phone stand that he built from Legos, which by the way is holding a shattered phone, and his PC, of course. It's rocking the i3 8100 and an EVGA GTX 1060. I don't know if 16 gigs was a wise choice in this configuration though. Again, just like the first contestant, I would have just gone with 8 gigs and put that extra money in something else. Aside from the PC, he also has a MacBook for when he needs to travel. For audio, he's rocking a single soundbar from Insignia. Unfortunately, he does not have any headsets or headphones, but what he does have is excellent cable management. Just look at how beautiful she looks from the back. I haven't seen anything this amazing on all 4s. So good. This is a very balanced setup with budget in mind. Thank you, Bryce, for entering. Elijah is up next from my hometown, California. Represent. This is his gaming and editing setup featuring 2 benq 24-inch monitors that are hooked up to his desk, and he's also using the Razer Black Widow Chroma keyboard and the Red Dragon M710 RGB mouse. For audio, he's using the Cyber Acoustic speakers, which are in an interesting location. They are underneath his desk on the shelves. I don't know how much of an impact that has on sound, but I guess he wanted to keep the top of the desk clean. He does have a headset as well, which is also in an interesting location. It's way back there underneath the desk. It honestly looks pretty far away. I noticed Elijah likes to keep things hidden for a cleaner look as opposed to going for convenience. I do like the placement of the mic setup on the left side of the desk. However, the PC location kind of worries me. Not only is it directly on top of the carpet without anything in between, but it's right next to his legs. This means he won't be able to stretch them out and relax while gaming, editing, or even watching videos. It bothers me just by looking at it. I get that there is no space on the desk for the actual PC, but another thing you can do is actually pick up a drawer or a nightstand or something similar and place the PC on the right side of your entire desk. Or better yet, if you can move your Xbox One S on the other side and remove the middle piece of the shelf underneath your desk, you can actually place your PC right there on the bottom. Assuming you can even take that piece off. It actually might be supporting the desk, but those are just some options out there. Despite the placement of some items that I don't necessarily agree with, I will give you points on the cable management. You kept everything very neat and organized. Using a cable sleeve to hide the wires behind the monitor is a great idea. However, I would recommend using cable clips to help route some of those cables. For example, the cables coming from the microphone. It will help keep them in a straight line, which will look a lot cleaner. But nonetheless, a very compact setup with purpose. Thank you, Elijah, for entering. Furlius is up next from Indonesia, and this is his music studio. And the first thing I noticed is that it's very different from other setups in the sense that it's not the usual desk against a single color wall. There's a lot of stuff going on here. It's not that it's messy, it's just more busy. It's got a productive studio vibe going on, and I really like it. He's got a 25-inch ultrawide from LG hooked up to his desk, and he's using a budget keyboard and mouse. Now for audio, he's actually got a pair of Edifier R1600T speakers and the Samsung R850 headphones hanging from the shelf next to him. I really like the microphone placement. The boom arm is long enough that it can reach over the monitor, and when he's not using it, he can fold it and tuck it behind. So the shelf next to him actually has multiple uses. It's used as a desk for his music production gear, and he also uses the bottom portion for storage. It's also where his PC sits. It's a micro ATX build inside the Elite 130 case from Cooler Master, and it's packing the i5 4460, 16 gigs of RAM, and the Galaxy GTX 750 Ti. The cable management is interesting because he hooked up the power strip against the wall next to the shelf, and he kind of used that as the main hub. And then there's a ton of cables coming from the other side of the wall, which I'm guessing is used to power the rest of his audio gear. I mean, judging by this picture, most of the cables are coming from the mixer. I do like the way he wrapped the cables together using zip ties, and he managed to keep the wires underneath the desk nice and organized as well. I'm not sure what those two planks of wood are used for, but it looks like the bottom portion is used as support for the table, but what about the rest of it above the surface? I'm wondering why Furlius didn't cut it past the tabletop, because it kind of just sticks out like a sore thumb. Music production setups are almost always on the expensive side, so I'm glad to come across a budget-focused version on Setup Wars. Thank you, Furlius, for entering. Wrapping up the episode is Jack and his first ever budget-focused PC desk mod, which I never thought I'd see on the budget edition of Setup Wars. So on the surface, it's pretty straightforward. He's using fairly outdated monitors and a budget keyboard and mouse combo. For audio, he's got the Logitech Z323 speakers and a gaming headset from Sennheiser. And that's pretty much it for the setup. The MVP here is obviously the custom-built desk and the PC that he built inside it. Jack is a mechatronics engineering student, and the purpose of this setup is for studying, programming, and the occasional gaming. The PC is using an AMD X4 955 CPU, which is a quad-core, and he's using 4 gigs of HyperX RAM, yes, that's 2 gigs each, and a GTX 950. So the story behind this setup is that having a desk PC was a dream for Jack, but he didn't really have the budget to build it. After graduating IT school, he started working as a web developer and started saving money for the build. It took him 6 months throughout the weekends to create this setup, and even now he's still not done. There's a lot of things he wants to upgrade. Well, you know where to find me once the upgrades are here and you're ready to resubmit once again. A very impressive custom built setup while sticking to a budget. Thank you, Jack, for entering. And that pretty much wraps up this episode of Setup Wars. As always, make sure you guys drop your comments down below and vote on who you think has the best budget setup, and I'll announce the winners on my Instagram account, so make sure you guys are following me there. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I will see you in the next video.